Hello, my name is Cindy, and I want to tell you about an amazing experience I had recently with Generation Jewelers and the outstanding service provided by the owners, Brian and Kelly. I have a pretty unique story in how I found Generation Jewelers, and I want to share that story with you today and also let you know how much time and effort Brian spent in trying to find just the right engagement ring for me. My fiance and I had been looking for an engagement ring. We had been looking at jewelry stores all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, up through North Carolina, and didn't find anything that had just wowed us. We had worked with several jewelers, but they didn't seem interested in our requirements, what we were looking for, and there was very little in the way of follow-up or follow-through on anything that we did show some interest in. My fiance travels each week for work, and on one of his flights he found an ad on the back of a magazine cover. It was an engagement ring. It was beautiful, it was unique, and we decided that we wanted to find that ring. So I got onto the designer's website to try to find a jeweler, of course in Atlanta, Georgia, that sold a ring, only to find out there wasn't one. So I called a jeweler in North Carolina. They didn't carry the ring, and they didn't offer to find it. I found another jeweler in another state, and pretty much the same story. I called. They carried a different version of the ring, but they offered no help beyond that. Over the next several days, I kept going back to the ring designer's website. I made calls to jewelers that I could find up the eastern seaboard in every state between Georgia and Maine, and then I started making, and still didn't find the ring, and then started making phone calls to jewelers in states that were west of the state of Georgia until I reached the state of Arizona, and finally reached a jeweler that was willing to help me. That's when I reached Generation Jewelers. Brian answered the phone. When I described the ring in the ad, he knew exactly what I was talking about. He didn't have the ring in stock, but he knew the designer. They carry their line of jewelry, and he offered to help me find the particular band that I was looking for. Wow, what a breath of fresh air. This guy was willing to help. He was willing to make phone calls, and that was the beginning of several interactions that Brian and I had over the next several weeks. Not only did he secure the band for me, he also spent countless hours in the background looking for just the right stone to match up with the band, a solitaire to go in the band, and offer me some options that met some of the requirements as well as the constraints and the boundaries that I was trying to stay within in looking for this ring. Once Brian had a chance to evaluate his inventory of diamonds and that of his diamond partners, he had a selection of diamonds that he thought would be the appropriate ones for me to look at alongside this band. So I decided to make a day trip from Atlanta to Phoenix. So I flew out there. Brian's dad, Kelly, picked me up from the airport. Brian had carved out a chunk of his day to spend with me to review each of the diamonds, and he did just that. He very patiently went through the carat weight, the color, the clarity, the cut of each diamond. He showed me the certificate. We looked at what the best fit was for the band that I had selected, and they were all beautiful options, gorgeous options. And by the time I left for the airport that day, I had pretty much made up my mind which option I thought I was going to select. But I did think it was only right to let my fiance in on that decision-making process and make the final decision for us. So that's exactly what I did. So a few short days later, my fiance called Brian, and as they say, the rest is history. Brian and Kelly, I want to personally thank you for your commitment, the level of service that you demonstrated, the value for the dollar that was spent, the countless hours that you put in behind the scenes to make my day trip as productive as it was. You truly earned our business that day. We worked with several jewelers that had the same opportunity as you, but Generation Jewelers went above and beyond to service us. You were honest in advising us, and I would hands down recommend you to any customer or any prospective customer planning to make a jewelry purchase. Brian, I am sure you will see us again. Thank you again so much for making this such a special and memorable experience for the both of us. Take care.